So I'm here with Andy Bubble Chambers, the Goya Quatro and KT rep, and he's going to talk to us today about the latest and greatest Goya Quatro and KT kit. Fresh back from Maui, he's had a great time, I'm sure.
Yep, yeah, it was a really, really good trip. Lots of wind and waves, so
Amazing.
yeah, can't complain.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're obviously joined with the boards behind us. And I suppose the people are going to want to know what's big for this year. What's the hype?
I would say, one of the biggest changes is definitely the weight saving in the boards. We've saved a kilo on all of the boards, so the boards are way, way lighter. The Goya boards, the Goya wave boards, and the free wave, the 112, have had really big changes to them. And also you've probably noticed we've changed the way we're naming them now. So instead of the traditional sort of custom 4 and custom 3 that we had before, we've now got custom quad and custom thruster. And we've also gone to generations. So custom quad 8, because it's the 8th generation of the board. And the reason for doing that is, we don't change the boards every year. We only change them when we've got an update sort of that's, a big difference and a big change. So we're trying to move away from, having last year's boards or, is this 24, 25 or is it 25, 26? We just go away from that and it's just the 8th generation.
Yeah.
And we've done that throughout the whole line. So we've done it through the Quattro line, we've done it through the KT line, we've done it through the Goya Sails as well, with the Banzai 11, for example. So yeah, I'd probably say they're the biggest changes.
And for those that don't know, Quattro, KT, and Goya are one of the few brands that don't change their kit every year, almost sometimes for the sake of changing it. They like to kind of develop the boards properly so that when they do change, it's a proper change and it's something that customers are going to notice, not just the pro riders.
Yeah.
So when kind of these brands are developing this kind of new project, when does this start? Obviously, it's come out now, but is this 2 years in the making?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the whole Maui setup is pretty amazing. We have our own custom factory there that's constantly building custom boards, whether it's surfboards, foil boards, windsurf boards, and now obviously downwind boards as well. And having all of that there, and all of the guys there that are at the top of the game. Obviously we've got Keith Tabul there, you've got Adam Lewis, you've got Francisco there, you've got Levi. So you've got such a big wealth of knowledge, and you've got all of the tools. They've got their own CNC machines. They've got the guys doing the laminating. They've got somebody for every process. So it means that they can actually constantly be developing products, and they can test them straight away.
Yeah.
They can go, we've got this idea, or let's say Kai Lenny comes in with an idea on a foil board or a surfboard or on his windsurf custom boards. You sit down with Keith or Adam, they'll go through everything on the computer, and then they'll start shaping it, and within a few days they can have the first prototype out. Kai can go down the beach, they can go test it, they can come back in, they can make small changes. So they're constantly developing, and as you said, until they get to something that is, a big improvement on the previous model or previous generation, that's when they make the change.
Amazing. Yeah, so it's obviously great to hear what they're doing over in Maui. It's a pretty ideal place to be as well, I'm sure. Good for you getting to go across there.
Yeah, it was. I'd been over there a fair bit on my previous job, but it was really nice to go over there with these guys. It's a very different sort of setup. You feel like part of a big family over there. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned the Banzai 11 earlier.
Yeah.
So maybe just again for those that don't know, the sail names have changed from this year. So maybe if you could just clarify that and kind of.
Yeah, I think in a way we were trying to make it a bit more simple. Instead of having lots of different models of wave sails with all different names. Jason Diffin, the sail designer, had the Banzai is our most sort of used, most sold wave sail, and we wanted to try and increase the range of use of that sail, but still keep the general characteristics of the Banzai that everybody loves. So that's when we came up with the Banzai Surf, which is the more sort of maneuverable, lighter feeling in your hands. It's more of a surfy down the line feel, but having the power more in the middle and lower down means that it's actually really manageable for people when it gets windy as well. It's higher aspect as well, so it is quite a different sail. It still has that good kind of power and the durability and everything that you get from the Banzai itself. And then with the Banzai Max, it's having the 5 batten sail increases the range massively, and that was the idea. It's maximum range, so it's 5 battens, whereas the other 2 are 4 battens. We increased the low end on it compared to the Eclipse, so the range is massively increased. So that's where you get the Banzai Max. So the idea was to have, you choose whichever one you want. If you want something that's a bit more down the line, a bit surfy, a bit sort of easier in your hands, or if you want to go more kind of bump and jump and more stability, or if you're just happy with how the Banzai feels. There's something for everybody within that range. We then added the constructions, just to try and give, a full range on price point, on colorway, so there's something for everybody within the range. And it makes a big difference when you get to try something. So if you can, get down to either your local shop or whoever, and try and have a go on something, on one of the sails, and that's when you start to really feel the differences, and you'll be able to then know exactly which one is best for you.
Yeah. I know you mentioned the constructions there, so we've still got the Pro and the X construction as we've had in previous years, and then there's 2 new additions, the Iris and then the Carbon. And if you could just chat about the differences between them two and kind of what's to be gained by going for Carbon, because obviously it's a bit more of a spend. So
I mean, so the Carbon, if we start with the Carbon and then I'll go into the Iris Carbon. So the Carbon, every single panel in the whole sail, apart from the main window, has got carbon strips laminated through it. They're also all at the exact angle that you want, so that you get the optimum sort of range out of the sail.
Yeah.
The Carbon holds its shape better, having that carbon in there. So the sail kind of, again, the range is increased, because you can actually, what we're finding is we can hold the Carbon sails in stronger winds because nothing gets distorted, nothing gets bent out of shape. The material is also softer. The scrim material on the Pro Edition or sails, on the Pro Construction sails, they feel a bit stiffer. The material is a bit noisier. The Carbon sails, it's actually really quiet. There's no noise. It's a really nice, forgiving kind of feel. And in the Banzai 11, you still have that very direct feel that you're used to in the traditional, or in the Banzais from the previous years. Also, weight reduction as well with the Carbon. It is lighter, but the sailing weight, and that's the important part really. The sailing weight is lighter. The sail feels much lighter in your hands. With the Iris construction, the Iris Carbon is kind of 50-50. So the top half of the sail, the blue and the yellow parts, are the Carbon construction, and then lower down it's the normal scrim of the Pro Edition or Pro Construction. The benefits of having the Carbon in the top half of the sail just mean that, again, it's going to be holding its shape better, so the range increases with the Iris. But not having Carbon in every single panel means that the price is not as, it is a bit cheaper than the Carbon. So again, there's something there for everybody, but also the colorway options. A lot of people really love that colorway. It's not for everybody. I really like it. I think it's great. It's so bright and vibrant. Again, it's just about having something there for everybody, so that you can get exactly the one that's right for you.
I think for a lot of guys with the Iris construction, if you're torn between 1 or 2 colours, then you can just have them all, which is
exactly
dream result. And
you still get the benefits of the Carbon as well, though.
100%. and it's obviously not all about what you look like. It's a bit to do with performance as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, and even on the X-ply construction, there's been some changes there with the colour of the yarn. Am I
Yeah,
right in
exactly.
thinking?
So we're using a black yarn in the X-ply windows, and the amazing thing with that is that the black absorbs the light. So normally in the past, one of the kind of one of the sacrifices that you get with having the X-ply sails is the visibility gets quite difficult, especially when it's sunny and the sun's coming through. And basically that's because the sun is reflecting off the white, or the light's reflecting off the white yarns, so it makes it more difficult to see through it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the black, it means that you can see through it. You almost don't even see it, to be honest. So you're getting that durability and that feel that you like with the normal X-ply, but you have that visibility almost as good as the other sails.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when kind of that information first came out, and it's hard to believe really. And then having seen the sails in the flesh, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when they're stood up next
yeah.
to each other, it's actually it's hard to see the differences.
No, definitely. And all right, then I think we should move on to boards.
Yep.
So I suppose the Goya's flagship board, Custom Quad,
Yep.
is the one that we see on beaches all over the world now, and super predominant here in the UK. What's the big change? Kind of what's going to be, what sets it apart from last year's model?
The weight.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the biggest changes that you feel instantly when you pick the board up and when you get on the water. And with the weight, a lot of that has come out of the tail because we've changed the fin boxes.
Yeah.
These new fin boxes are 100 grams lighter per box.
Crazy.
So when you times that by 4,
Yeah.
and then with the old slot box, the amount of extra PVC foam and everything else that had to go into that build means that it was even heavier. So you're almost getting towards half a kilo weight saving just by changing all the boxes, and taking that out of the tail of the board means that the board balances perfectly. There's no, the swing weight and everything's gone. It's the same as in the previous generation with the sails, when we took all the weight out of the top of the sail. It made everything feel a lot lighter.
Yeah, I mean, just from having a look at the boards as well, they've drilled out some of the foam in the foam pads as well. It's like super. I don't know if
the guys in Maui, they really went for it. They had the scales out and they were just weighing everything. So they got rid of all of the stickers, because once you get all those PVC stickers and you put them on the scales, they were like, right, that's quite heavy. How can we have nice graphics, but save the weight? And in the end, they actually went with the water transfer.
Yeah.
That whole sort of fake tattoo thing. So it leaves this very, very lightweight film. You can't, it weighs nothing. And then a reduced sort of colour all round, really.
Yeah.
So you can see through the boards, you can see all the construction, you can see the patches underneath. The pads, they weighed the pads and they're like, right, how can we make the pads lighter? Well, we don't need the double density or the dual density in all of that area that we had before.
Sure.
You only need it where your feet are. So get rid of that and makes them lighter. Make them a bit smaller, but then split them, drill holes in them, just anything you can to save grams.
Crazy. Yeah, 100%. And we'll move on to the custom thruster now.
Yep.
Yeah. And I suppose what are your thoughts on that for this year? I see they've kind of listened to the customers, and kind of the custom thrusters performed really well in bump and jump as well as wave conditions, and they're trying to optimise that a bit.
So the custom thrusters actually had a really big update.
Yeah.
Because in the past, when we had the custom 4 and the custom 3, they were quite different boards, whereas now they're very similar. But one's tuned to work with 3 fins, one's tuned to work with 4, and the sizes are slightly different. So you've got an 86 quad. You've got an 84 quad. You've got an 86 thruster. So they are slightly wider in the tail. You've got a little bit more volume there, but in general they're very, very similar in feel. It's just all about whether you prefer having that thruster set up or if you prefer having the quad set up. But in terms of their performance down the line, wave riding, in onshore conditions, they perform the same.
Brilliant.
Which is really, really nice.
Yeah, and then the same goes for them with the weight saving. I guess it's all just kind of adds up. Yeah,
I mean the construction and the weight saving has gone through the whole line of boards, including the free waves.
Yeah, And then moving on to the Goya One, a really popular board for
Yeah.
us, a board that always does really well for us. I see you've added a new bigger size.
Yeah, the 125.
Bit of a beast.
Yeah, it is, but it's amazing. You know, when we were in Maui, I got to help out with a bit of the development on some of the new freeride boards, the new shapes, which you'll see coming in the next, over the next few sort of couple of years. And we were testing them against, so we tested the Bolt against the freeway, the 125, and we had like a Carrera prototype, we had a Volar prototype. And it was amazing actually how fast the 125 was, but more it was fast but really playful.
Yeah.
You know, I could still do some freestyle moves. I was doing like Spocks and downwind 360s. You just kind of kept moving, it kept flowing the whole time, and you really feel that in the waves with the new one as well.
Brilliant.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Doesn't really stop. Which is such a nice feeling to have that kind of that flowing kind of board, kind of whether you go backside, if you go front side, you can do some jumps, do a duck jibe on the inside or whatever. It just keeps moving the whole time. You don't really stop, which is a really nice sort of attribute.
Yeah, I guess all that all adds to the Goya One's kind of makeup of that one board does all kind of suits. Yeah, seems to suit everyone really, doesn't it? It's always
definitely
hard to not.
I love it. I mean, I've been using the 95 at home.
Yeah.
Summer sea breezes on the south coast. It's great. It just keeps me going. It gets planing earlier than the wave boards, and it just keeps flowing the whole time. So
brilliant, no, absolutely mint.
But the new fin makes a big difference to the turning. Yeah, so having that fin, which is further forward in the box, makes the new one way more manoeuvrable.
Yeah, and maybe a touch on that with, I suppose, going back to the custom thruster and the custom quad, because they've had new fins, new construction,
new carbon fins, from MFC. They're much lighter. They've got a new shape as well. It's a really nice update. Wave, sort of a really fast, more kind of radical kind of feel to them when they're turning on the wave. And then, we even changed the fin bolts that now FCS, use an FCS key to do them up as well. And they're also lighter than before.
Amazing. Yeah. Come to the nth degree, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth doing. If you, like I said, if you get to the end of the whole process and you've saved a kilo, it makes the boards feel so different on the water.
Sure.
They really feel like an extension of your feet or of your legs, kind of thing. They go exactly where you want them to go.
Yeah.
You never really feel like you're just along for the ride.
Yeah. So moving on to Quattro now.
Yeah.
Quattro Cube, a board that for us has definitely grown in popularity quite a lot over the past 5 or 6 years. Seem to see it around a lot now. And what's new for this year?
The Cube, you've still got that nice sort of diamond tail on it. So that bigger sort of tail block, which helps get you going nice and early. It's still the most compact board out of the Goya and the Quattro range.
Yeah.
So it lends itself to more kind of onshore, kind of tricky conditions. Being more compact. And what they've to improve this year, it needed a little bit, some improvement needed when it got to down the line conditions. Because ultimately it's still a quad. People still want to use it when the waves are really good and down the line. So it now rolls easier rail to rail. So it feels more surfy, but you still have that compact kind of nature. So you can still stamp on the tail of it and turn it up if you've got more onshore and you need to get into the pocket a bit more. You can be a bit more pivotal with it.
Yeah, I always think that's one of the beauties of the quad is that, the Cube, that I think sometimes people can be put off by the fact that it's a quad and maybe think that, it's too radical and quads are too radical for me and I'm not good enough.
No.
And I think the Cube really kind of fits that build, doesn't it? It's that kind of...
Almost, it's so easy.
Yeah, that's the word, easy. But then when you want to turn it on, it's on.
Yeah.
But moving on to a bit more radical, Pyramid.
The Pyramid is now the most radical board out there. And Adam Lewis and Levi and Keith have really, they've worked on that board a lot. And in good waves, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so fast in the turn. It really accelerates in the turn. And I think it's definitely got its place in the UK. You know, I've used it in onshore conditions now and in sideshore. And when you're powered up, and if you've got the level that you know what you know where you want to put the board, it will go exactly where you want it to. But it is still very much a radical wave board. So wouldn't say for someone getting into the waves go for the pyramid. Whereas someone getting into their waves, if they're coming off a free wave board, something like the Cube or even the Goyas will be way more user friendly. And yeah, if you know what you're doing, you're going to get the maximum out of the pyramid.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a pretty cool board, eh?
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the power. I know that tends to be a bit wavier than the Goya One in terms of freestyle wave.
Definitely, in the past, definitely. But on the way that we've done the new volume flow on the Goya boards, it's on both wave boards and on the One.
Yeah.
It's actually improved its wave riding performance a lot. The power is kind of like a bigger cube almost. It has the same tail. It's just quite a bit bigger. So it planes super early. It's actually a really nice bump and jump board, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you get into the waves with that new fin, you still get that nice, that smooth feeling. You're not going to be doing radical turns, but it keeps its speed going the whole time with that big tail.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly for bump and jump and sailing around kind of in smaller breaking waves, UK South Coast, that sort of thing. It's perfect.
Dream board.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, yeah, that's I suppose the overview for the windsurf kit for this year.
Yeah.
Thanks for Andy for joining us. Thanks for making the trip up or down, I suppose, wherever you come from. But yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to see from us guys, then let us know and get in touch for more information about the kit. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.